Welcome back to the channel. Today we have quite a few things to discuss. Sony's goals and what they expect of their teams, Square Enix and Sony's partnership, and some comments made by Jim Ryan. Also adding to the fire that Square Enix would be purchased by Sony at some point. And lastly, we're going to talk about Final Fantasy XVI because that demo was absolutely incredible, and we're going to talk about those performance issues that some people are experiencing as well. Quickly, before we jump into all of this, if you could do me a favor, show your support by hitting that like button, subscribe if you're new, and share the video if you find it informative. Now let's talk about this PlayStation Studios target goal when it comes to what they expect from their teams. Former God of War art director Rafael Grassetti has said that PlayStation developers like Naughty Dog and Santa Monica Studio aim for a score of 90 on Metacritic. Grassetti made this statement during a Portuguese interview with Flow Games. Now, to really go into what's being said here, because some of it is being misconstrued into Sony demanding high Metascores, but that's not exactly the case. Grassetti said that while Metacritic scores are important to developers, Sony does not tie any performance bonuses to Metascores. He also said that the company has confidence in PlayStation Studios and does not rush them to release games. That said, like other game companies, Sony does have an eye on Metacritic performance. According to Grassetti, it's hard to gauge how well a game will do review-wise until at least the final stretch of development, because games don't take shape until around the last year of production. So this shouldn't really come as a surprise. Sony wants you to make the greatest games possible. In return, we will give you the resources, we will give you the time you need, we will not rush you to put a game out. And that actually makes a lot of sense, because if you look at PlayStation Studios and most of their games that come out, most of them are very well constructed and they don't have too many issues at launch. Sure, we'll have some bugs here and there like any project does, but nothing game-breaking. And I know the first thought some of you will say, well, what about The Last of Us remake on PC? We're talking about first party on PS5, not ports. There's no excuse for that, but I'm just talking about first party on PS5. And as I said, most cases, they are releasing games that are really well crafted and don't have many bugs and nothing game-breaking. And I feel like that stands to be true, at least with just the PS5 launch games and the PS5 games that launch on the platform. This does not include ports, although ports should really be considered to be in better shape. And I think we'll see that going forward, as obviously this tarnished The Last of Us and Naughty Dog. Even though Naughty Dog was not the one who ported it, they still did have a responsibility, and the onus is on Sony in the end. But to get back on topic, yes, this is a positive thing. I think that it's great that they give their teams all the time they need. And yes, naturally, they are going to expect the top of the top from their flagship studios like Sony Santa Monica, like Naughty Dog. They are expecting 90s and up. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, as long as, you know, their pay doesn't get impacted if they don't hit that mark. Because obviously, reviews are subjective and they are opinions. So at the end of the day, they shouldn't be able to tie any payment bonuses or anything to that, in my opinion. But according to Grassetti, that is not the case anyway. So very positive, I think, on my end of things, where I see this as Sony is giving all the resources needed and they are also giving all the time needed. But obviously their expectation is a 90 on Metacritic, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, especially because these studios do put out 90s on Metacritic. Look at Ragnarok and every other God of War game before that. They do incredible on Metacritic. People love them. So it's not impossible to do these things. Now, next we are going to be talking about Square Enix and Sony, as at the pre-launch of Final Fantasy XVI, they had a whole celebration event. Executive Jim Ryan had a special showing just for this event, and he appeared on stage to say that SIE's partnership with Square Enix goes all the way back to the start of PlayStation's existence. And he says that we value everything we do together and your commitment to our brand and business. And some people are taking this as more evidence to the rumor that Sony is acquiring Square Enix. And while I don't think this necessarily confirms that or puts any more weight to it, I do think that there's obviously a great match between them, and whether they decide to do it as a acquisition or continue to be partners, either way is excellent for the fans. If I were to really put on my tinfoil hat and try to extrapolate some of this information and really read deeper into this, I would say that there's probably some sort of conversation being had between the companies. Obviously, there's been a long-term relationship there There was a decade period of Square Enix where they were doing third-party mainline Final Fantasies. If you look at Final Fantasy's trilogy, 13's trilogy, look at Final Fantasy 15, Type 0, Kingdom Hearts 3, those games all ended up making it to the Xbox platform, but it seems they are really bringing it back in terms of their relationship and making it tighter than ever, which is really what he says here. It's never been stronger. So that could mean that they're either working closer together than ever, or it could mean that maybe they're going a step further and they're going to acquire them one day. Whether that's going to be confirmed ever or announced ever, I don't know, man. This is really speculation based on a lot of factors. I wouldn't be surprised if Sony had acquired Square Enix. I would not be surprised at all, but I do think that the relationship they currently have going works out really well in Sony's case, and their games are just phenomenal. I think they've been at their best they've ever been. And it's been a long time since then with Final Fantasy VII Remake, if you look at that game, and now 16, which is just absolutely incredible. And I want to talk more about Final Fantasy 16. This is leading into our next topic and our last topic. Final Fantasy 16, number one, the demo, absolutely amazing, phenomenal, blew my expectations away. Like, I can't describe to you just how great it is. So I recommend, if you got a PS5, go out and play this demo. Even if it's not your cup of tea, you don't think it's going to be good, play the demo. It's free. It's absolutely free. You play the prologue. It's about 2 hours long. Play the demo. If it is not appealing to you in those 2 hours, it's likely not for you. But if it is appealing to you, you're going to be like, holy, how did I miss this game? How did this pass my radar? How? As I've had a lot of people already tell me this that aren't even fans of Final Fantasy. So I'm telling you, play this game if you have a PS5. Other than that, people were complaining about performance issues, and there were some issues in terms of holding a steady 60 at a performance mode, but it looks like that demo is about a year old. As Chong on Twitter says, yes, this demo is not the latest version. It is already showing 1.03 on State of Play. I don't know why they won't let us play the latest version. So this is an older version of Final Fantasy 16, so much so it's a year older. So it looks like when this game drops eventually, it'll be a steady 60 FPS as we saw with the State of Play, which makes a lot of sense. I don't think we're going to have issues with performance, at least not to this degree. If it's not a full steady 60, I would hope that they can fix that shortly after launch, but they said they don't even have a day one patch. So I'm hoping that means that the game is going to be a steady 60 on performance mode, which is what a lot of people want, including myself. Regardless, game looks phenomenal, plays phenomenal, story is incredible, music is incredible, voice acting incredible. This game is going to be a GOTY contender. I am shocked to say this because I thought Zelda for sure was going to take it just because of the hype, because of everybody that loves Zelda. But I think they might have a tough year this year between this and many other titles that are coming out. Starfield, obviously, Spider-Man 2, Final Fantasy 16, Zelda, Star Wars. There's so many games that have dropped this year. It's going to be a competitive year for GOTY. But Final Fantasy 16, this is the truth. This is the sauce. It's amazing. I hope you guys go ahead and check that out. But that's all I have for you in today's video. Let me know what you guys think about all of this in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button. If you didn't enjoy the video, hit the dislike button. Share the video if you found it informative, and subscribe if you're new. You can also follow me on Twitter. My link will be in the description. I thank you all for watching. I'll talk to you on the next one. Take care.